Most people are trapped not by their job, but by their thinking. They think like employees, not creators. They ask, how much will they pay me? Instead of, how much value can I bring? See, the rich and the poor face the same 24 hours, the same economy, the same world, but not the same philosophy. The difference is in the thinking. If you want to change your income, you must first change your philosophy, because the moment you begin to think like the rich, opportunity starts to recognize you. When I was young, I worked hard for every dollar I could earn. I remember those days vividly, selling, sweating, hustling, thinking if I could just earn a little more, life would change. But one day, a mentor looked me square in the eyes and said something I'll never forget. You don't get paid for your time, you get paid for the value you bring to that time. That line shifted everything. Most people spend their entire lives trading hours for wages, but the wealthy trade growth for freedom. You see, your paycheck feeds you for a week, but your skills feed you for a lifetime. The real question isn't how much you're making, it's how much you're becoming, because money doesn't follow time, it follows growth. I started to realize that my job was never meant to make me rich. It was meant to make me valuable. And once you become valuable, wealth chases you. I began treating my job like a classroom. Every task became a lesson. Every challenge became a test. Every mistake was a tuition fee for wisdom. I stopped going to work just to collect a paycheck. I went to work to collect experiences, to study leadership, sales, communication, and people. Because the truth is, you can outgrow your job, but only if you grow yourself first. See, most people clock in and clock out, living for the weekend, waiting for retirement. But those who break free, those who build wealth, treat every day like an opportunity to sharpen their edge. They ask, what skill am I developing that could make me irreplaceable in the marketplace? It's not about how long you've been doing something, it's about how much better you've gotten at it. Some people have 10 years of experience. Others have 1 year of experience, repeated 10 times. That's the difference between working for wages and working for growth. The rich understand that jobs are temporary classrooms, not lifelong prisons. They use employment as leverage, a chance to learn how systems work, how money flows, how leadership feels. They're watching, studying, asking questions, observing what others miss, because one day, those lessons become the blueprint for their own ventures. The poor see work as survival. The rich see it as education. So, don't just ask yourself, how much am I earning? Ask, what am I becoming through this work? Are you developing discipline, patience, creativity, communication? Are you learning to handle pressure with grace, to solve problems calmly, to lead when no one's watching? Because one day, your growth will outvalue your paycheck. And when that happens, the shift begins from employee to entrepreneur, from survival to freedom. So my friend, if you're working a job right now, be grateful for it, but don't settle there. Let it train you, teach you, stretch you. Work to grow, not just to earn. Because when you outgrow your wages, the marketplace will have no choice but to pay you what you're worth. When I was working for someone else, I remember the moment everything changed. And it wasn't when I started earning more money, it was when I stopped thinking like an employee and started thinking like an owner. Up until that point, I was trading my time for wages, waiting for direction, and doing what was required, but not 1 ounce more. Then one day, it hit me. If I wanted to have more, I had to be more. Ownership doesn't begin with a title or a company registration. It begins with a mindset. You don't suddenly become an owner when you start a business. You become one when you take full responsibility for your results. See, the poor think in hours, But the rich think in assets. The employee says, I worked 8 hours. I deserve 8 hours of pay. The entrepreneur says, I built something that keeps paying me long after I stopped working. Ownership is the shift from wages to wealth, from activity to accountability. It's a higher standard, one that demands you stop blaming the system, your boss, or the economy, and start asking, what can I do better? The moment you stop making excuses, you step into power, because excuses give away control, and ownership reclaims it. I remember a time early in my career when I was in sales. I wasn't the boss, but I started thinking like one. When something went wrong, I stopped saying, that's not my problem. I started asking, what if it was my business? That question changed my behavior. I began arriving earlier, studying customer patterns, improving scripts, and suggesting ideas that no one asked for. And do you know what happened? My income tripled. Why? Because the marketplace rewards ownership, not obedience. Thinking like an owner means thinking beyond tasks. It means thinking in systems. Employees see what's in front of them. Owners see how the parts connect. The employee says, I finished my job. It trains your mind to see opportunities where others see limits. The truth is, ownership is not about a business license. It's about mental equity. When you treat every task, every responsibility, every interaction as if your name were on the building, something powerful happens. You build character. And character, my friend, is the down payment on wealth. You stop needing supervision because you supervise yourself. You stop waiting for recognition because your results speak louder than your words. So, even if you're working for someone else right now, work as if it were yours. Care for the customers as if your family depended on them. Protect the reputation of the company as if it bore your name. Take responsibility where others take rest. Because the secret is this: when you start thinking like an owner before you become one, you won't have to wait long before life hands you something worth owning. When I first began my journey in business, I realized something unsettling. I had been trading my most precious asset for my least reliable one. I was trading time for money. And the trouble with that trade is simple. Time runs out. There's only so much of it, no matter how hard you work, how early you wake up, or how many hours you put in. You can always make another dollar, but you'll never make another minute. The people who remain trapped in the cycle of working just for wages are caught in that very exchange. They sell what they cannot replace for what will never be enough. The turning point came when I stopped asking, how many hours did I work today? And started asking, how much value did I create today? See, wealth doesn't come from hours, it comes from impact. One person can earn 10 times more than another, not because they work 10 times longer, but because their work matters 10 times more. The marketplace doesn't pay for effort, it pays for effectiveness. You don't get rich by being busy, you get rich by being valuable. I remember when I used to put in long days thinking I was doing all the right things. But one day, my mentor asked me, if you stopped working today, how much money would still come in? That question stopped me cold. The answer, at the time, was none. My income was tied directly to my effort. If I stopped, everything stopped. That's when I began to think like an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs don't just work in their business, they work on it. They build systems, tools, and processes that multiply their time, that allow their efforts to continue producing results even while they rest. If your income stops the moment you do, then you're still an employee, even if you work for yourself. The key is leverage. Leverage means doing a piece of work once and letting it serve you 1,000 times. It might be a digital product, a rental property, a training program, or a sales funnel. Anything that keeps delivering value without demanding your constant presence. It's about creating something that outlives your effort. When you start tracking your day not by the clock but by contribution, everything changes. You stop saying, "I worked 8 hours," and start asking, "What did I build? What did I improve? What did I create that lasts?" Because the truth is, the marketplace doesn't reward time spent, it rewards problems solved. The goal is to free your hours from your income so you can spend your time on growth, relationships, and purpose instead of just survival. So, stop selling hours, start creating value, build systems, invest in tools, delegate where you can, and let your work compound. Because wealth doesn't come from the hours you trade, it comes from the value that continues working long after you've stopped. That's when time starts serving you instead of you serving time. When I first began to understand the rules of the marketplace, I realized something that changed my entire outlook on wealth. You don't get paid for your time, you get paid for the size of the problems you solve. That's the law of value. You can spend 40 years trading hours for wages, or you can spend a few years learning how to solve a problem big enough that people line up to pay you. The truth is simple. The bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck. Most people spend their lives avoiding problems. They complain about them, run from them, or wait for someone else to fix them. But those who build wealth do the opposite. They go toward the problem. They say, if this frustrates people, if this slows down progress, if this steals time or energy from others, I'll find a way to solve it. That's the difference between an employee mindset and an entrepreneurial one. Employees see inconvenience. Entrepreneurs see opportunity. When I worked for a company in my early years, I noticed that the people at the top weren't always the ones who worked the hardest. They were the ones who worked on what mattered most. They weren't busy all day, they were focused on the critical issues that moved the business forward. One of my mentors told me, "You get paid for bringing solutions, not complaints." That stuck with me. If you can fix a $10 problem, you'll get $10. Fix a $10,000 problem, and the world will pay you accordingly. The marketplace doesn't reward effort, it rewards results. And the fastest way to raise your income is to raise your impact. Start asking better questions. What problem can I solve that others won't touch? What issue is costing people money, time, or peace of mind? Once you identify that, your path to wealth becomes clear. Don't just aim to be busy. Aim to be useful. But solving big problems requires courage. It means learning what others don't want to learn, thinking deeper than others are willing to think, and persisting longer than others are willing to try. It requires skill. You must invest in learning how to diagnose pain and create solutions that bring real change. That might mean mastering a technology, understanding psychology, studying leadership, or improving systems, whatever it takes to turn difficulty into opportunity. And when you do solve problems, don't charge for the time it took you to fix them, charge for the transformation you deliver. If you save someone $100,000, don't feel bad asking for $10,000. That's fair exchange. People will gladly pay for relief, clarity, and progress. Remember, you are not selling your effort, you're selling your ability to remove pain. So, stop running from problems, run toward them. Don't compete for wages, compete for solutions. The greater the challenge you're willing to embrace, the greater the reward the world will hand you. Because in the end, wealth doesn't flow to the hardest worker, it flows to the most valuable problem solver. When I first started building a business, I made a mistake that many people make. I tried to do everything myself. I thought that if I wanted it done right, I had to do it with my own two hands. But what I learned painfully and slowly was that real success doesn't come from doing it all. It comes from building people who can do it with you. You see, there's a world of difference between using people and leveraging people. The first drains energy, the second multiplies it. One breeds resentment, the other builds legacy. True wealth is built in cooperation, not competition. The rich understand that people are not tools to be used. They are partners in a shared mission. When you empower others, you're not giving away power, you're expanding it. The people who win big in life are those who know how to create environments where everyone rises. Leadership, in its purest form, is not about control, it's about contribution. It's about seeing potential in others that they may not see in themselves and helping them unlock it. I remember working with a young man early in my career. He was full of energy but lacked direction. Most managers would have written him off, but I decided to invest in him, to guide him, not command him. Within a year, that young man became one of the best performers on the team. He didn't just grow the business, he grew himself. And that's the secret. When people grow, everything around them grows. If you want to build wealth that lasts, build people first. The company, the income, the expansion, all of it depends on the strength of your team. Hire slow, because the wrong people can drain the right vision. Train well, because the best people still need guidance. Reward generously, because people repeat what gets recognized. Never forget, money follows management of self, of systems, and of people. Delegation isn't about dumping work, it's about transferring trust. Don't just assign tasks, assign outcomes. Give people ownership, not obligation. When someone feels trusted, they'll give you their creativity, not just their compliance. And if you're building partnerships, choose those who share your principles, not just your goals. Partnerships built on convenience collapse under pressure, but partnerships built on trust stand the test of time. The greatest leaders don't stand on top of their teams, they stand beside them. They don't say go, they say let's go. They don't create followers, they create more leaders. Because in the end, success isn't measured by how many people work for you, but by how many people grow because of you. So don't exploit people, elevate them. Don't chase success alone, build it together. Because the highest form of wealth isn't found in the numbers on your balance sheet, but in the lives you've helped improve along the way. When I was young, I thought the secret to wealth was simple: work harder. I believed that if I could just put in more hours, push a little longer, take on another job, then someday I'd be free. But I soon discovered a painful truth. You can't outwork the limits of time. There are only 24 hours in a day, and no matter how ambitious you are, you can't multiply hours, but you can multiply income streams. See, the average person has one stream of income, a job. The wealthy, on the other hand, build systems that pay them even when they're not around. They don't chase paychecks, they create pipelines. The employee asks, how can I make more money? The entrepreneur asks, how can I make money work for me? That's a different mindset altogether. The rich don't get rich because they have more time. They get rich because they learn how to separate income from labor. Imagine you have one faucet of water. If someone turns it off, you're dry. But if you have 5 or 6 and one shuts down, you still have flow. That's how income should work. Diversified, steady, reliable. The danger of depending on one paycheck is that when that paycheck stops, so does your life rhythm. But if you've got multiple sources, a business, an investment, a rental property, a digital product, then money continues to flow like a river instead of dripping like a leaky tap. Now, don't mistake this for having multiple jobs. That's where most people go wrong. Working 3 jobs doesn't make you wealthy. It just makes you tired. Wealth doesn't come from adding more labor, it comes from adding more leverage. A side business, for instance, isn't just extra work, it's a seed. And if you water it with discipline and patience, it can grow into something that supports your freedom. One of the greatest lessons I learned was that every dollar I earn should come with a mission. When money comes in, it should immediately know where it's going: a portion to live, a portion to give, and a portion to grow. That growth portion is where multiple streams are born. You take part of your earned income and you plant it into assets, ideas, or systems that can produce income without your constant attention. The beauty of this principle is that it compounds. Your side venture can fund an investment. Your investment can fund another opportunity. And before long, you're no longer working for money. Your money is working for you. So remember this: don't build a life where your income stops the moment you rest. Build one where, even in your sleep, value is being created. Let your money become your apprentice, working day and night, multiplying in silence. That's not just how the rich stay rich, that's how they buy their freedom. When I first started in business, I thought success was about having the best product, the sharpest plan, or the hardest work ethic. But I discovered something far more powerful. It's not what you sell that matters most, it's how you make people feel about what you sell. The richest skill in the world is the ability to influence, to persuade, to move others through words, belief, and conviction. Entrepreneurs don't just trade goods or services, they trade in trust, vision, and emotion. You see, money moves toward confidence, and confidence is born from clarity. If you can communicate your ideas in a way that others understand deeply and believe sincerely, you can build an empire from nothing. But if you can't express your thoughts, if you can't make people see what you see, you'll always be working for someone who can. That's the difference between the dreamers and the doers. Communication's not about talking more, it's about connecting better. I learned early on that people don't buy products, they buy stories. They buy emotion. They buy belief. When I used to give talks, I noticed something interesting. It wasn't the facts that changed people, it was the way the story felt. The moment you speak from the heart, the room shifts. Because human beings are not logic-driven creatures, they are emotion-driven thinkers. So if you're in business, learn to communicate in layers. Speak to the mind, but reach the heart. When you're presenting an idea, don't just explain what it is, explain why it matters. The most powerful entrepreneurs are storytellers first and strategists second. They turn numbers into narratives, and that's what creates movement. But let me also tell you, persuasion is not manipulation. It's not tricking someone into saying yes. True persuasion comes from alignment, when your intention is to create value and your belief in what you're offering is genuine. When you speak from integrity, persuasion becomes a force for good. It inspires, it elevates, it builds. To master this skill, start by reading. Study human psychology. Understand what motivates people. Read books on influence, negotiation, body language, and storytelling. But don't stop there. Practice. Every conversation is training. Every pitch, every meeting, every discussion is a chance to refine your message. Watch how people respond. Listen to their words, but also their silence. The pauses often reveal more than the speech. And here's the secret: the best communicators are the best listeners. Because when you truly listen, you understand people's needs, their fears, their dreams. And when you understand them, your words naturally align with their hearts. That's when persuasion stops being effort and starts being influence. So if you want to rise in life, master communication. Learn to express ideas that awaken possibility in others. Because in the end, the person who can move minds can move markets, and the one who can win hearts can change the world. When you start out as an entrepreneur, the goal is usually simple: to make a living, to build stability, maybe even to earn a little freedom. But there comes a time when the purpose must evolve. Because if your dream ends with you, it wasn't big enough. The aim is not to build a business that lasts for a season, it's to build a legacy that lasts beyond your lifetime. Businesses fade, products change, markets evolve, but principles, values like service, integrity, and contribution, they never go out of style. The richest people I've met didn't just build companies, they built philosophies that guided generations. A legacy is not something you leave for people, it's something you leave in them. It's the mindset, the example, the values that echo long after you're gone. And that kind of impact doesn't happen by accident, it happens by design. So as you build your business, ask yourself, what am I really building? Because it's easy to build an income, it's harder to build something that inspires. A paycheck may fade, but a principle can change lives for decades. When I first started mentoring, I realized something remarkable. When you teach what you've learned, you multiply your influence exponentially. You create ripple effects. One piece of advice, one good system, one timeless principle, passed down and practiced, can outlive any product you ever sold. That's why I tell every leader, every entrepreneur, every dreamer, document what you've learned. Don't let your wisdom die with your schedule. Write it, record it, share it. The greatest asset you have isn't your business model, it's your experience. But building a legacy also means building people. Mentor the next generation. Teach them how to think, not just what to do. Show them that wealth without wisdom is emptiness dressed in gold. I remember teaching a young entrepreneur who wanted to make his first million. I told him, don't chase the money, chase mastery. When you pass that mastery to others, the money follows, and it lasts. True wealth comes when what you've built continues to produce fruit long after you've stopped watering it yourself. Design your work around values that matter. Let your business reflect service, impact, and contribution. Ask yourself, does this product make lives better? Does this system create growth for others as well as myself? Because when your business helps people rise, it stops being a hustle and starts being a movement. And never forget, success that isolates you isn't success. It's a warning. Use your success to elevate others, not separate from them. Bring people along. Teach them how to create, how to lead, how to dream, because in the end, legacy isn't written in the profits you made, it's written in the people you helped make prosperous. So build with vision, work with intention, lead with heart. One day your name may be forgotten, but if your principles live on, your work never dies. Most people spend their lives chasing money that disappears the moment they stop working. But those who truly understand wealth think differently. They know that money is only temporary. It's what you build with that money that lasts. True wealth doesn't end when you do. The goal isn't to die rich. It's to live wisely and leave behind something that keeps giving long after you're gone. The wealthy don't just make money, they make permanence. They create streams that keep flowing, businesses that keep growing, and systems that keep serving. When I talk to entrepreneurs, I often remind them, the question isn't how much can I earn, but what can I build that keeps earning without me? Because there's a difference between income and impact. Income feeds you today, assets feed generations. You see, most people work for money. The rich make money work for them and even more beautifully for others even after they're gone. One of the smartest things you can do is to start buying or building assets that outlive your effort. Buy a property that keeps paying rent long after it's paid off. Write a book that keeps inspiring readers you'll never meet. Create a course, a system, or an idea that continues solving problems when you're not there to deliver the answer. That's the essence of legacy. Not something you can touch, but something that continues to touch others. When I began my own journey, I wasn't thinking about buildings or bank accounts. I was thinking about impact. I wanted to create something that would continue teaching long after I stopped talking. That's why I invested in ideas, because ideas can't be taxed, destroyed, or lost. They multiply in minds. Every principle you pass on is an asset that outlives you. And when you combine that with tangible wealth, investments, properties, businesses, you create a fortress that keeps producing, serving, and protecting. But here's the secret. It's not just about what you own, it's about what you transfer. Most people pass on savings, few pass on systems. Teach your children, your team, your students, not just what to have, but how to build. Because if you leave them money without mindset, that money will evaporate. But if you leave them wisdom, they'll rebuild wealth from nothing. Systems, not savings, secure your legacy. So as you grow, ask yourself, what will keep producing when I stop? Maybe it's a business you've structured to run on its own. Maybe it's a community you've built that continues to grow. Maybe it's your teachings, your writings, your philosophy. Whatever it is, make sure it has the power to endure. Remember, money will fade, titles will vanish, and possessions will pass hands, but the assets you build with purpose and wisdom will keep working long after you're gone. That's the real definition of wealth. Not something that dies with you, but something that keeps others alive because of you. You can have all the strategies in the world, the perfect plan, the right investments, even the best team, but if you neglect the source of it all, it will collapse. The source is you. Your income, your creativity, your drive, they all come from one engine, your mind and body. If that engine burns out, the stream dries up. Most people protect their money more than their energy, but the wise understand that money is just a reflection of what flows from within. You can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't build empires on exhaustion. Wealth isn't built by burnout, it's built by balance. I've met countless ambitious people, young, hungry, driven, who thought success was about working harder than anyone else. But a few years later, they were tired, bitter, and broke in spirit. They confused motion with progress. They traded sleep for stress, meals for meetings, and peace for pressure. And then they wondered why success never felt like success when it came. The truth is, if your body breaks down, your business will follow. If your mind is cluttered, your creativity will fade. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's strategic. Think of yourself as the goose that lays the golden eggs. The golden eggs are your income, your ideas, your innovations. But the goose is your health, your mind, your emotional balance. If you destroy the goose, chasing more eggs, you lose both. That's what burnout does. That's what overwork, poor habits, and unguarded energy do. The rich don't just manage money, they manage themselves. They know when to push and when to pause. They understand that recovery is part of the rhythm of success. So, prioritize sleep as if it's an investment, because it is. Rest isn't laziness, it's maintenance. Exercise, not just for fitness, but for focus. A strong body creates a sharp mind, and a sharp mind makes better decisions. Take time to reflect, not just to think about business, but to think about you. Because when you slow down enough to gain clarity, you speed up everything that matters. Set boundaries for your time, too. Learn to say no, no to distractions, no to draining people, no to anything that costs you more energy than it's worth. I remember one young entrepreneur who came to me exhausted, working 16 hours a day, proud of his grind but frustrated by his results. I told him, "Your body isn't a machine, it's an instrument. If you play it without tuning, the music stops." Within months of balancing his schedule, sleeping better, exercising, reflecting, his creativity doubled, his stress halved, and his business finally took off. He didn't change his goal, he changed his capacity to reach it. So guard your energy like gold. Protect the source before the stream. Because without your health, your wealth means nothing, but with it you can rebuild everything. Remember, the stronger the source, the steadier the flow. One of the greatest tragedies I've seen in people's journey to success is how quickly they stop learning once they start earning. The moment some people get a little success, a new title, or a bit of applause, they think the classroom is behind them. But here's the truth. Pride is expensive. The moment you stop being a student, the market starts teaching you lessons you didn't sign up for. The truly wealthy, the truly wise, they stay curious. They stay humble. They understand that mastery isn't a destination, it's a discipline. You don't arrive at success, you maintain it through continuous learning. I remember when I first started making progress in business, I thought I had it all figured out until one year I lost more money than I made. It wasn't because I stopped working hard, it was because I stopped growing. I was living off yesterday's knowledge. The market had changed, people had changed, and I was still running on last year's wisdom. That's when I learned the lesson. When you stop being a student, life stops being generous. Success will test your humility, because when things go well, your ego will whisper, "You've made it." But the truth is, the higher you climb, the more dangerous ignorance becomes. You can't afford arrogance at the top. The wise learn faster than the world changes. They don't just read for entertainment, they read for enlightenment. They don't attend seminars to collect certificates, they attend to collect wisdom. When you make learning a lifestyle, something amazing happens. You start anticipating change instead of reacting to it. You see opportunities others miss because your mind stays open. You adapt, you evolve, and you stay ahead. That's how wealth is preserved, not by holding on, but by staying teachable. Every mentor I've ever admired was still learning from someone. They were masters of humility, proof that learning doesn't end when you succeed. That's when it truly begins. You see, the mind grows by challenge. If you only do what you already know, you shrink. So, commit to learning something new every month, a skill, a perspective, a technology, a truth. Attend workshops, read the books that stretch your thinking, talk to people who are smarter than you. If you're the smartest person in every room, you're in the wrong rooms. And remember, learning doesn't just come from books or teachers. It comes from observation, reflection, and humility. I used to say formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. The richest people in the world aren't those who know the most, they're those who keep learning the longest. So stay teachable. Keep your heart curious, your mind open, your ego silent. Be the student longer than the master, because the moment you believe you've arrived, that's the moment you start going backward. The world rewards those who keep learning long after others have stopped listening. There was a time when wealth was measured in acres of land, factories, or gold coins. But today, the true currency of the age is knowledge. The richest among us are not the ones who work the hardest, but those who think the clearest. They've learned that the mind can produce more wealth in 1 hour of deep thought than the hands can in a month of labor. Ideas are the new gold, and the mine is your mind. The question is, are you digging or just surviving? Most people never realize how valuable what they know already is. They spend years learning lessons through experience, failure, trial, and observation, yet never think to turn that wisdom into something the world would gladly pay for. That's where the true transformation begins. When you stop seeing knowledge as something you keep and start seeing it as something you trade. The wealthy don't just consume information, they convert it. They know that when you can articulate your experience into value, you no longer work for money, money works for your ideas. I remember mentoring a young man once who was frustrated because he didn't have much capital. He said, "I can't start a business, I don't have money." I told him, "Who told you you need money to start? Start with what you know." Within 6 months, he packaged his years of customer service experience into a simple online training for small business owners. He earned more in 1 month teaching what he already knew than he had in a year working for someone else. That's the power of turning knowledge into currency. It's leverage without limits. You see, everyone is sitting on a mountain of untapped value. Maybe it's your story, your skill, your method, or your mistake that became a lesson. The difference between the wealthy and the struggling is that the wealthy share what they know and get paid for it. You can teach what you've mastered, you can document what you've built, you can advise those who are a few steps behind. The beauty of this era is that your mind can reach the world through a book, a course, a podcast, or a platform. All it takes is the courage to start sharing what you know. When you create digital products, consulting programs, or coaching services, you're no longer trading time for money. You're building something that scales. Every time someone benefits from your insight, your influence multiplies, even while you sleep. That's how the rich think. How can I turn one lesson into 1,000 paychecks? So start now. Don't underestimate what you know. Your knowledge is not common. It's the result of your journey, your failures, your persistence. Turn that experience into value. Let your mind become your most profitable asset. Because in the new economy, wisdom is wealth, and those who learn to trade in it never run out of currency. There's a strange thing about money. The more tightly you grip it, the faster it slips away. Money, like blood, must circulate to stay alive. It needs to move, to flow, to serve. When you let it flow through you, it strengthens everything it touches. Your business, your relationships, your community. But when you hoard it, when fear becomes your banker, it stagnates and loses its power. The stingy man never realizes that the tighter he closes his fist, the less he can receive. I learned long ago that money is a servant, not a master. It's meant to move, to exchange hands, to build, to bless. Every great fortune I've ever studied shared one thing in common: generosity. Not recklessness, not random giving, but intentional generosity. The kind that says, I have enough, and I trust that more will come. You see, wealth responds to trust. The person who believes in abundance finds it flowing toward them, while the person who fears scarcity builds walls that block opportunity. When I was a young man working for a living, I didn't have much. But I made a decision. Every time I earned, I would give. Not because I had excess, but because I wanted to train my heart to be free from greed. I gave to my church, to a struggling friend, to a mentor who helped me grow. And every time something amazing happened, opportunities found me, people remembered me, doors opened. It wasn't magic, it was principle. Money flows where it's treated with purpose, not panic. As you move from employee to entrepreneur, never forget this: your influence grows when your generosity grows. Give to those who lift you higher. Reward the people who help you build. Celebrate your team, your partners, your clients. When people feel appreciated, they stay loyal, and loyalty in business is worth far more than any one transaction. I've seen men try to squeeze every dollar out of a deal and end up broke in spirit. I've also seen others give a little extra, a fair price, a kind gesture, and end up building empires built on trust. Generosity is not just about money, it's about spirit. It's the decision to be a giver in a world full of takers, to mentor the next person coming up, to share your wisdom freely, knowing it will return multiplied. The world rewards the man who gives more than he takes. He becomes a magnet for opportunity because people trust him. And trust is the highest form of currency. So let money flow through you. Give to the causes that reflect your values. Support the hands that help build your success. Remember, rivers that stop flowing become swamps. Keep your wealth alive by letting it move, circulate, and serve. Because generosity will open doors that greed could never find. And that, my friends, is how abundance stays alive. As we close this conversation, I want you to remember something simple yet profound. Wealth is not just about the numbers in your account. It's about the person you become in the process of earning it. Money is a mirror. It reflects your habits, your discipline, your patience, and your philosophy. If you want to change your income, first change your thinking. Because the same mind that keeps you stuck in wages can't be the one that leads you into freedom. The journey from employee to entrepreneur isn't about quitting your job tomorrow. It's about transforming how you see opportunity. Stop waiting for someone to hand you permission. Start where you are, with what you have, and with who you've become. Every small seed of effort, every late night learning, every disciplined morning, every courageous step toward ownership is moving you closer to independence. And remember, this journey rewards persistence, not perfection. So whatever dream is stirring inside you, protect it. Feed it with action, not excuses. I challenge you, before this week ends, do something that moves you from being a worker to being a builder. Create something that earns while you sleep. Learn something that multiplies your value. Serve someone who can open new doors for you. Don't wait for the perfect time. The time is now, because your future self is waiting for you on the other side of today's decisions. You can live like the majority, or you can think, act, and build like the wealthy few who decided to own their destiny.